Hey everyone, thank you for joining me, family. So, I wanted to talk with you about my journey to healthier eating. I hope everyone is well on this Sunday evening and just felt like sharing some about my experiences. So, for healthier eating, I think I'd started internship in 2006. And when I started internship, I was eating, pretty much the same as I would have always eaten. And I thought that that was healthy eating. I really didn't know, too much about um, food and its relationship to health and things like that. And so as I went along over the years, as I've grown, as I've researched, as I've, had my own experiences, I've learned a lot more about healthier eating. Um, so it had to be around '06 that I started actually changing what I was eating. And now that I think about it, I think part of what influence that was so I actually got hit by a car as I was crossing the street. And it was it's an experience that I talk about in another video, and you can check that out if you would like. I go into it a little bit, I would say. Um, but from there, I think I started focusing more on my overall health and eating healthier. So I had a friend on an internship with me who was um, eating very healthy, vegetarian couple people actually that were vegetarians on while I was on internship, and um, so I had that influence, and I, you know, started saying, okay, now I definitely wanted to pay more attention to my health, to feel healthier, to heal faster, and things like that. And so, um, one challenge that you might say you have is, well, I don't even know how to cook healthier, how to prepare meals. So one thing that I said was, if I'm going to eat healthier, I'm going to get some cookbooks. So I got a couple of really good quality cookbooks, and I took my time, looked through the cookbooks before I bought them, so I can make sure that there are recipes in there, things that I would really like to eat, because there are certain foods that, some of us like to eat, other foods we don't like to eat. So I didn't want to be kidding myself and saying, oh, yeah, I'm going to get this cookbook with all this weird food, and, I'm going to eat just all brand new. I wanted to actually get a cookbook with recipes in there similar to what I already ate, and stuff that I would think also, if it's a new addition to my menu at home, it would be stuff that I would really like. So if you like, for instance, Asian food, you might want to get a cookbook that has Asian foods that you like. That's, if you're switching to a healthier eating habit, I would say, lifestyle, healthier lifestyle. Or if you like Italian food, or if you like Jamaican food, or if you like, more Ethiopian cuisine, if you like, different German food, if you like different types of foods, I would say to get cookbooks that would contain recipes that have what you want. So that was one thing I would say, one challenge, that if I didn't have the cookbooks, it would be a lot worse, because then I had a plan. Um, so having the cookbooks was a huge deal for me. because then I was looking at, okay, I can get these recipes and then eventually I could simplify. I didn't necessarily need the recipes. I could just do it off the top of my head. Another thing I would say is definitely having a plan, and I think that goes along with having the cookbooks, having a plan. It's one thing to have the cookbook, so now you have ideas of what you can eat, but then having a plan means you actually went to the store, you bought some of the recipes, or you got some foods that you know would be simple for you to make, and it's not necessarily anything out of a cookbook, but it's still something that you would say, okay, this might be a go-to meal, this might be a staple meal. um, and so for me, I don't know if I mentioned I went vegetarian. Yeah, so what I was doing was not eating meat. Vegetarians, and it depends, certain people use certain titles that all seem to fit under a vegetarian umbrella, I would say. So there's the vegetarian that eats still seafood and or animal products. And then there's the vegetarian that's straight vegan that just eats plant products. So I've been all of those, I would say. But in the beginning, I just cut out meat and then eventually cut out gluten. So bread, pasta, cakes, cookies, that was, wheat pasta, or anything that had gluten in it, I cut that out. Oats, barley, rye, um, wheat, those things I cut out of my diet. And so if you're going to eat a certain way, I think it's important to have a plan, because then also, even if, because there are occasions when I went to fast food restaurants, I knew, for instance, that Burger King had um, veggie burgers. So I could get a veggie burger there. Or I knew that certain grocery stores would have um, more vegetarian meals, like if I'm eating healthier, I knew I could go to Trader Joe's, or I knew I could go to Whole Foods or whatever. Now, none of these stores are sponsoring this video, of course, but those were just places that I went to get different food items that I knew um, might give me healthier options. So having a plan, definitely having ideas for what it was that I could eat, having places that I knew that I could go. Those might be some of the challenges for you. Okay, what do I eat? Okay, how do I figure all this out? Meal prep on a weekend day, that might be a good thing for you. And then that way you'll have a plan for the week. So then that way you don't have to worry about, oh no, you end up having to stop at this place that you know doesn't have many options for you. And so you don't like what's on there, and you end up not eating the way you intend to eat, and then you feel it. So I would say for my journey, those were some of the things. I ended up cutting out sugar, and cutting out sugar was a huge deal for me. So I know this video is getting kind of long, so don't want it to be too long. But for me, cutting out sugar was, again, it's if we're fitting it into that framework that I was just talking about, having a plan. So what was I going to eat if I wasn't going to eat sugar? Having um, options. So knowing what I could eat. So I started, with the cookbook, I started also looking up other recipes, because the cookbooks didn't necessarily have sugar-free recipes. So I started looking up, okay, what are some alternatives to sugar? I started looking up recipes and how I could do my proportions, so that if I was using, say, stevia, I could still add another ingredient in, so that there was enough bulk in the recipe. But it was, I mean, the stevia was fine as far as it being sweet. So there are just things, I mean, because when you think about it, you think about all these challenges, and how, you're not sure if you can do it. But if you can overcome those things by planning ahead, having different options for yourself, knowing what you can eat, knowing what you want to eat, what you don't want to eat, knowing if there are certain days of the week that you want to limit yourself to eating sugar versus fruit, let's say. So there's a substitute for you. Um, and finding a way to make the desserts that you know are your favorites without the ingredients that you don't want to eat. So if you don't want to eat sugar, but you want a cake, you need to figure out how to make a cake or multiple cakes without sugar. So if you like chocolate cake, you want a recipe that will help you to make that chocolate cake without sugar. Um, and so there are plenty of recipes out there for that. Or if you don't want to have flour, wheat flour or wheat, you don't eat gluten at all, wheat, barley, rye, oats, you don't eat that stuff, then you want to find alternatives for those things. So those were some things that were really important for me to do. And again, just to recap, um, figuring out, having cookbooks or looking up recipes or looking up videos for things that I could eat if I wasn't going to be eating the same anymore, having a plan. So went to the grocery store, figured out which stores would have what stuff that I like, and then I knew my go-to spots. If I was eating out fast food, I knew, for instance, like I said, there are certain restaurants that had veggie burgers or certain restaurants where I could get a fish sandwich or, a decent salad or something. If I wasn't going to be eating fried, I could get grilled. Or, if I wasn't going to eat meat, I could get, say, a tuna panini, or I could get tilapia, I could get salmon, I could get, different varieties of things. I could eat seafood, I could have calamari, I could have, it just depends on what you like, but understanding that there are many options, that you don't have to just eat meat if you want to cut it out, or a certain type of protein. There are plenty of alternatives. It just depends on what you like, what you want to eat. So I hope this was helpful for you. There's so much more that I can share with you about my healthier eating journey, but one of the things that I did was cut out sugar. And when I cut out sugar, because it was awful on my health, um, it was really, really awful. So I found alternative ways. I found a way to get around it. I found a way to eat foods that were delicious, that were great for me, and it didn't have sugar in them. So I hope, again, that you find this helpful. Thank you again for joining me, family. I look forward to you liking, sharing, subscribing, talking about your experiences of cutting out sugar. And if you'd like to talk with me, I could share with you a lot of information on things that I did to cut out sugar, how it was so beneficial to my health, because it was really doing a number on my body to eat sugar. So cut it out, feel so much better. The way that I changed what I was eating, it's been such a great journey, I would say, to get to the place where now I know, how important it is, what the relationship is between our health and energy levels and bodies, and toxins in our bodies and things like that, cravings and all these things. So hopefully, again, this was helpful for you. Look forward to talking with you again soon, sharing more videos with you with helpful tips. Um, Look in the description below if you'd like to work with me, my number, my email, website, and talk to you again soon. All right. Love you. Bye.